Well, good morning, Kelowna. Another beautiful Saturday morning. It is hardly a cloud in the sky, and we've just been having a stretch of weather here that is second to none. We're just so pleased and happy and honored to have this kind of weather hit us at this time of year. Ken and I have often said the shoulder seasons in gardening are probably the most beautiful, and we're not slipping this year. I'll tell you, we've got a great fall here. We are alone. I am alone for a little bit. Ken is out getting his crews ready. They're doing the sprinkler blowouts. So if you haven't got your sprinklers blown out, if you moved into a new home, haven't been there before, and you got to get your sprinklers done, you got to make sure of that, because big damage can happen if you don't blow that water out in this neck of the woods. Down in California, no big deal, but here you've got to get them blown out, or you can have some very expensive difficulties ahead of you. On that note, we're going to do the tips and plants of the week, and my tip of the week ties right in with that, sprinkler blowouts. If you have one of those, or a hose bib on the outside of the house, where you've got your hose attached to it, it's a self-draining tap. Just don't be fooled and leave that hose stuck on the tap. There can be water trapped inside that self-draining tap, and that will cause big problems, and in fact, it could cause flooding, because if that tap bursts inside the wall, you're in trouble. So make sure that you disconnect your hoses from your self-draining taps on the outside of your homes, and empty the hose out as well by just raising it up, walk up a step ladder or up on the deck or whatever, and just pull the hose up, and all the water will run out the bottom. So that's my tip of the week, and my plant of the week was the same as last week, because I did something this week that I haven't done before, I've thought of doing, and I have harvested my saffron crocus, my crocus sativa. And I thought it was the yellow stamens that you harvested, but no, it's the little red threads that come. Each flower has this little red thread on there. So I harvested those, got myself a nice little jag of beautiful saffron from my crocus sativa. So that's my tips and plants of the week. And as I said, Ken is going to be a little late showing up, but I'm sure he'll have a tip and a plant as well when he gets here. The saffron crocus is quite prolific. I only planted a few bulbs a number of years ago, maybe 6 bulbs, package of 6, maybe it was 10. And I've got nice clusters of crocus sativa. They spread. And, of course, all through the season, all they are just a grassy foliage. And then they bloom in the fall. Most crocus, the regular crocus, bloom in the spring. And but these bloom in the fall. And they put on a heck of a show. And they're originally, I think they're native to Iran, and that's why the saffron, the real expensive saffron that you buy, will often come from Iran. They export that as a spice, and it's a very unique spice, and probably one of the most expensive spices to buy. So we're going to play around with it, see what happens. Maybe if anybody's out there that has used saffron in their cooking and that, maybe give us a call here and let us know how you use it and if you like it or not. Donna seems to think a few years ago that she tried some saffron on some rice, and I very seldom say I don't like something. I'm quite an eater. If you want to test your cooking, don't test it on me, because I'll eat anything. But I did indicate to her that I didn't really like the taste of it, but I'm not sure whether it was a saffron or something else that she had in the rice. So we're going to play with it, and if you have any tips on cooking with saffron, give us a call. 250-862-2525 is the phone number to get through to us. We've been on the air now since 1983, and loving every minute of it. Every Saturday morning we're here, and the Okanagan right now is giving us the weather that we look for. Last night, had a good time. We went out to 2 different occasions, 2 different events. One, of course, was the event that Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong was there, and I got to sit and have a chat with Tommy, and he almost came on the show this morning, but I forgot to give him my card, to give him my number, so there you go. I got kind of starstruck sitting with the boy, and 80 years old. I met Tommy when he was 31 and I was 19, and we were playing with Cheech and Chong down in Vancouver at a place called the Elegant Parlor, and hung out with him then. So it was kind of neat to sit there for just a couple of minutes and say, we were there, I was there, and he remembers. I don't know if he really remembered me, but he remembered the band, and he remembered the times at the Elegant Parlor that he and Cheech were honing their skills, and they were quite the funny act. We got quite a kick out of watching them. And the second event I went to was the Paramount Music anniversary, 30th anniversary of when John Deschner sold the Paramount Music, the store. He was there from 1972, I believe, till 1980 something. Anyway, he was there a long time, and he helped a lot of musicians get started because he had that line, that Johnny Deschner line of credit that you could go and buy some sound equipment and pay on he was kind of financed everybody's band. It was quite interesting, and most of the time he got paid. Once in a while, of course, there was some people that couldn't pay their bills, but boy, he really helped a lot of guys because when you're young and you can't go to the bank, they won't give you money, and the bank of mom and dad is dried up. John Deschner was there to help. So there you go. And congratulations on the event last night. Boy, Lynn and Etal did a wonderful job putting it on. And I got to play with my old buddy Jim Wilson. Jim and I were in a band together in 1966 was when we started playing together. And it was just fun to get up and play with Jim. And, we can still play. There was a little thing in Facebook where there was four guys walking into a hall, and it set up on the billboard. It said 60s band tonight, and so some young fella said to these guys, "You're a little old to be going to this, aren't you?" And he says, "To be listening to this music." He says, "Oh no, we're the band. We're the band. The old boys were the band." So that's what's happening. All the guys from the 60s are now up in their 70s and 80s and still playing, which is good. 250-862-2525 to get through to the garden show today. Lots of going on in the garden. I went out and did some cleanup. We talk about preserving tomatoes. I mean, a lot of us have all these tomatoes, green tomatoes on the vine. What do you do with them? Well, they will ripen. A lot of them will ripen, so don't just leave them out there. Give them a chance. In particular, my little grape tomatoes. We've picked every grape tomato that's on the vine, and every one of them is ripening. Even the pure green ones are ripening once you bring them in the house. So do that because it's worthwhile. It's a waste to see them just freeze on the vine. And there you go. Caught a rat yesterday. I trapped a rat. Haven't had much success this year. There's so much for them to eat, I guess, that they don't really care about the traps. But I got one, and I'm going to get as many as I can before winter. Hopefully we have a bit of a chilly winter to some degree so that the rat population will diminish. It certainly has in the last couple of years. We haven't seen as many this year, as many rats. But it is wise to trap as many as you can. Don't let them do what rats do and breed and have babies and all sorts of things like that because they are a scourge. 10 years ago, if somebody said, "I have a rat in my yard," I would say, "No, you don't. We don't have rats in the Okanagan." Because we didn't. We had no rats. We've got rats now. It's a fact of life, and we're going to be with rats forever. We'll never get rid of them now. I don't know. It'd be nice to find the first person who brought a rat into this community from Vancouver, because they've had rats down at the coast for years. And it was a well-known fact that rats were proliferant down on the coast. But somebody somehow brought a rat here from the coast in the car or in a trailer or in some whatever. They hitchhiked and got here to Kelowna, and now we have rats. Well, probably 2 rats came because you need 2 to make a family, right? Okay, well, what else we got going on here? Our day length, we are 10 hours and 30 minutes long, our days are. The shortest day is 8 hours and 5 minutes. So we got another, 2.5 hours of short day shortening to go before we're right in the shortest day, which is coming up in December, December 20th or 22nd, somewhere in there, the middle of winter, right in the dead of winter. And then they start getting longer again. As we approach that shortest day, though, the days, each day now is a few minutes shorter than the previous day. Like, for instance, we were about 29, 30 minutes shorter today than it was last Saturday. But as we approach December, that it's shortening lessens. In other words, as the days are only a second or two shorter as we approach that shortest day, and they gradually get longer again. And that's when we really notice things happening in the greenhouse. I'm so excited again this year. My second year for my greenhouse. I got my tomato in there getting ready for Christmas, and I'm hopefully have some ripe tomatoes at Christmas like I did last year. And I've got lettuce growing. Not too much else other than lots and lots of plant material, tropical plants and just things that I've kept from the garden. My colocacea's in there, and my grass, my purple fountain grass. I've got it in there, and we're just having a great time with that greenhouse. And boy, it reminds me of my childhood. I grew up in a greenhouse, so there I have one. I'm gonna. Well, I haven't slept in it yet, but maybe I will. Who knows? I might get kicked out of the house. Donna will kick me out and put me out in the greenhouse. We're going to go to the phone lines, and we do invite your calls, 250-862-2525 to get through, and we'd like to say good morning to Ted. Good morning, Ted.
Yeah, Don, you're talking about the bands. Do you remember the band we used to play in the park? Bruce Polish was in it, and the other ones they used to play in the band shell at the city park.
Yeah, that was a great place to play. They called the Jubilee Bowl.
Yeah, and do you remember what the band was named?
That doesn't ring a bell, but I knew a lot of the bands back then. The Ball and Chain was a band my brother played in with Brian McGovern and Tim Breck, and they played around here for a long time.
Yeah, we used to sit and listen to them. They were really good.
Yeah. It was good times. Good times.
It was a good time at home, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you bet. The Jubilee Bowl was built in the Colonus Jubilee, the 50th anniversary or 50th year celebration of Colonus when they became incorporated in 1905. So 1955, it was 50 years, and so they built that bowl, that little band shell in the park, and they called it the Jubilee Bowl, and that's why it was called the Jubilee Bowl, because it was 50 years since Kelowna. And it caught on fire and burnt, and they didn't replace it. But there are some some grandstands there now for and people do have bands in that location in the park. But yeah, well, thanks for calling. We appreciate it, Ted.
Yeah, I know. I used to enjoy that very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. It was really good.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
All right, thanks, Don. Have a good day.
And you as well. Thanks, Ted.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye now. 250-862-2525 to get through to us today. We're going to take a short break, a short pause for a good cause, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Well, last week we spoke quite a bit about storing things away for the winter. And, it's worthwhile to do a little of that because, a lot of the things you store away for the winter, you just have to if you don't do it, you have to rebuy them in the spring. And that is not always as money saving as you could be. I mean, you can save money, and it can also have fun doing it. Several things such as dahlias and gladiolas and begonias and some of the grasses, some of the non-hardy grasses. And in my case, I've got my elephant ears with colocaceae in the storage right now. What I've done is I've built a box out of plywood, and I've lined it with some insulation that I had, some insulated batting, and I put a lid on it. And the box is about 3 feet wide, and then 3 by 4, 3 feet by 4 feet, and it's 1.5 feet deep, 1.5 feet tall. So it holds quite a bit of stuff. You can make it as big or small as you want, but the bigger it is, the more insulative factor there is. And I've got that in my carport, my garage, my front garage. Now I don't heat the garage. It's about it stays relatively above freezing for the most part, but not totally above freezing. When it gets to be 30 below, my garage is not above freezing. It does freeze in there, so I can't leave paint and things like that out there. However, I've left onions there all winter. I've left potatoes there all winter, just covered in a kind of a blanket or a quilt. And but now that I have this box, I can leave anything. In fact, I think even if Ken Salville was staying with us, I could leave him out in the box, and he wouldn't freeze, because he's so well. Ken, good morning, Ken. Nice to have you here. Good morning. Yeah, he's so full of hot air that he never freezes.
That's right. I can keep a whole room nice and toasty.
Yeah, you betcha. So you are your crews are out doing your blowouts, your sprinkler blowouts.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, we're just got a lot to do, and going as fast as we can, going 7 days a week, and
there you go,
getting them wrapped up. So yeah,
and then when it freezes up, you can take a little bit of a break. Although you got a lot of clerical work and planning for the following year. Well, it never ends. It never ends.
Well, there's a ton of stuff going on, that's for sure. Yeah. So we're working on it, and it's always exciting. In the fall, with these winterizations, is a critical thing. Unfortunately, we're not able to take on any new customers, but still, it's a necessary thing. And if people haven't done it yet, they have to make sure they get on it.
Okay.
Get registered for sure with somebody and make sure you get your system cleared.
Ken, did you bring along a tip and plant of the week?
Well, that's a really good question, Don. This
don't
is
want to
so
put you on
sudden.
the spot. Don't want to put you on the spot. My tip was to make sure that self-draining tap, that outdoor self-draining tap, is disconnected from the hose. The hose is disconnected from that.
Yes.
It can not only cause some damage, expensive damage, but it can be really expensive because if that freezes, it can leak right into the house. That's the big deal there.
That's actually what does happen, and it happens unfortunately just a little too often. But it's just something that if anybody's going away or they're going to be doing any traveling, whatever this winter, is make sure you get those taps or the hoses removed before you leave, and or even if you know somebody who's left, it's a nice thing gesture to do is to have a little walk around and make sure their hoses have been detached, because it's a total disaster. The disaster doesn't occur until somebody turns the tap on. Usually it's in the spring and they turn the tap on, and then next thing you know, there's water pouring down inside the house, and it's not a good thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, so where the problem really comes on those self-draining taps is if you have turned your hose off at the end of the hose and then turned the tap off. So now it's charged completely with water.
Full of water, yeah.
And that's when you're really going to end up with trouble.
Yeah, you bet. And
I've got a metal fence. Years ago, I had this metal fence, and it was one by one tubular steel. Mm-hmm. And somehow, in one of the legs, water had got down in there, and there was no hole in the bottom of that to drain out the water. Mm-hmm. So the water was sitting in there. And Ken, unbelievable power that freezing water has. That's steel. That's a 1 by 1 inch steel tubing, heavy wall steel tubing, and it actually it's round. It's not square anymore. It's round. Because it just swelled out like this and made that square tubing pretty much round, and then of course it did crack it, and then the water did drain out. So just the power of that is amazing. Hydraulic pressure, ice. I guess you could still call that hydraulic pressure, but oh my goodness,
yeah, it's
strong.
Yeah, water is an interesting thing. It's one of the only things that will actually expand when it gets cold and expand when it gets hot.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so actually I do have a tip and a plant, but maybe what we'll do is keep that.
Yeah, we'll keep that.
Come back after the break.
That'd be good. Yeah, 250-862-2525. To get through to us today, Ken is with us, and I am with you, and we are Ken and Don. Ken Salville, Don Burnett here to help you with your gardening dilemmas, or any concerns that you might have in the gardens. You're not planting a lot of stuff at this time of year, but you're doing a lot of preparation. One of Ken's favorite things to do in the fall is to get some of those nice pansies, and it's still okay to do that. They're amazing how much frost they will take, and these little cool evenings and cool days, even a little touch of frost, will get them hardened for winter. They'll come through the winter and then burst into spring. Those pictures you showed me a few years ago, that you took a couple of years ago, of spring blooming pansies. Those were pansies that were planted in the fall, right?
Yeah, they were planted, I think, around the beginning of October. And they did okay in the fall. They formed, a pretty good little plant, but nothing really spectacular. It was just jaw-dropping in the spring because I couldn't believe that each of those little plants was now 24 inches in diameter and about 1.5 feet tall and just a ball of color. It was quite phenomenal. That was a great first experience with fall pansies. I'd always heard about it, but that was the first time I experienced it. And that was, man, when was that? In the 90s sometime, I guess. Yeah.
Big fat blossoms on them too, eh?
Oh, yeah. And just solid. You couldn't see any green, just flowers. It was amazing. It looked sort of almost artificial. And I was driving by and I just glanced over and I put on the brakes. I was like, my God, what's happened? Somebody's gone and planted all these things. And, once you get up close, obviously. And they were all yellow and white. Solid face pansies.
Beautiful.
No faces on them.
No faces. Faceless pansies.
Faceless pansies.
It's
my
not like
favorite.
The old band, The Small Faces.
Yeah.
There we go. So, Ken, I was saying my plant of the week again this week. I couldn't help it. It had to be Crocus sativa. I harvested my crocus.
Yeah, and I saw that. Yeah. That was you had your steak knives out there.
Yeah, I thought
slicing it up.
I thought for sure that it was the yellow, and I did save all the yellow parts of the plant, but it's the red thread that's in the Crocus sativa. There's a thread. And there's 3 little threads.
The pistils.
I guess they must be the pistils because they do have that little end on them. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It was really fascinating. I took close-up pictures of it. And $10,000 a pound. Mind you, I didn't get near a pound, but I got a nice little pile there. And I think what I got was about $30 worth of crocus, saffron crocus, pistils, I guess they call it. And so we're going to try cooking and with it. Donna's going to try. I don't cook, but you wouldn't want my cooking.
You cook in the microwave.
I cook in the microwave. I recook. You've heard of recycling? Well, I recook. I recook stuff. Yeah. So what we're going to do is Ken Salville's going to get his tip and plant of the week. We're going to fire up the next segment with that. But we do invite your calls. Join us today, 250-862-2525. Anybody else go out and see Tommy Chong last night and see how he's doing? The old boy's looking good, Ken. I mean, he really is. 80 years old now. And, when I met Tommy Chong, he was 31 years old. So it was 50 years ago that we met. Yeah. Okay.
Time flies.
Yeah, it sure does fly when you're having fun, doesn't it? And we will be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Okie dokie. There are some classes happening with Xeriscape. The Xeriscape people are putting these on now. Kelowna has finished with theirs, but there is one October 27th.
26th.
27th,
is it?
27th. Saturday, October 27th.
Oh, there we go.
So that's next Saturday.
Right.
In Penticton. At 760 Main Street in Penticton. It goes from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. But if you want to get more, it's a $50 charge. For only $45 if you belong to Okanagan Xeriscape Association. But you can register online, going to their website, the OXA website. I don't see a phone number here to call. But anyway, that's a good thing to do. Discover what Xeriscape is all about, and what it isn't. What Xeriscape is and what it isn't. And Ken and I are constantly trying to educate people on what it isn't. I have
It's not Xeriscape.
It's not Xeriscape, and it's not. I want to try some of that Xeriscaping where you don't have to weed, you don't have to do anything, and just I don't want to garden. Well, that's not the correct terminology. No. Xeriscaping is gardening. It's gardening with less water. That's
Yes,
what it is.
exactly.
And using the environment and indigenous plants as much as you can to create your garden sort of self-sustaining as far as water goes. But you still have to weed. You still have to trim. You still have to do all the gardening stuff. It's gardening.
It's gardening. It is, exactly. Well, it's very cool. It's a very good thing to learn about, for sure. And then, it's from the soil all the way up to the tops of the plants.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot to learn about it, and this is a great opportunity. I know the OXA, the Okanagan's Aerscape Association, is putting on seminars throughout the season, and they're always valuable to participate in. Learn a little bit more about conserving water.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Now, Ken, do you play soccer?
No.
No, I don't either. But I was kicking the rubber ball, the doggy ball for Tika the other night, a couple of nights ago, out on my putting green, right? And we're kicking it, and we do this all the time. Well, I decided to do a little bit of trickery and try and deke around her so that I could get the ball into the backyard to finish the game. Once it goes into the backyard, and she keeps grabbing it, you go to kick it, and she grabs it, won't let it go. So I tried one of my soccer moves.
Oh.
Tripped.
Oh.
Fell flat on my chest on my putting green.
Oh, wow.
And I am in pain. I cracked a rib or something because not a good thing. Ken,
the dog was just too much for you.
Just way too much, yeah. We're going to go to the phone lines, and we do invite your calls, 250-862-2525, and we have Ariel on the line. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning, guys. Ken, I sent you those pictures of the tree, but I just thought, you know what, you're here, and I'll ask you about those Acer rubrums. Why is it that they send these straight shoots up into the air?
Well, usually it's in response. Usually it's in response to some pruning that's happened, but usually what trees, the other thing that trees do is they'll send up these long, skinny shoots year one, and then year two, those shoots branch out, and it forms like another layer of the tree directly above the old tree. So it's just a method of growing. It's their natural habit. It's just that if you prune a tree, they usually respond with these what we call suckers or water sprouts, and they shoot up quite aggressively. So that's where they sometimes come from.
Okay, so well then I'll take a picture of these trees, and you asked for the whole picture, and I'll try to do that. And I'm just trying to figure out how to, whether or not I should just let them grow and just let them become more, more of the tree on the top. Yeah,
see, that's sort of what I do is I let the tree be the tree. Like, it knows what it wants to do. It knows how big it's going to get. And, if it's in the wrong spot right now, then maybe it should be moved rather than pruned, because if it's going to grow quite big, then these Japanese maples usually slow down quite a bit once they get up to that sort of 15 or 20 feet high or so, depending on the type of tree. And so, we just have to sort of make that decision. So what I would do is I always do this selective removal of these. Like, if I get, say, one shoot every 2 feet or something, these tall, skinny, lanky shoots, then I can look at that and remove them right back to wherever they come from the tree. So if they're coming off of a branch or off of the main stem or whatever, I'll just clip them right off relatively close to that point. And then, it's just really up to the individual. If you're a gardener, you don't mind going out and doing a little trimming here and there. But, I have this way I plant plants and I just let them be themselves, and I try not to influence them too much.
Well,
Ariel,
I'm like that too. But these are the trees in the apartment complex, right? And
I see. Yeah.
They're probably, I think, from what I can gather, about 8 or 9 years old.
Now, Ariel, you mentioned Acer rubrum. Did you mean Japanese maple or Acer rubrum?
Well, now that's a good question. I don't really know. There's actually, I think there's 2 different kinds that they've got out there.
Okay.
And
they were green all summer and turned red this fall?
Yeah, they're actually more yellow. And then they're also the ones that they're keeping all their seeds on them. There's a few of them that just keep these seeds on them all year
Amur
round.
maples. Amur maple, I think.
They'd be amures, yeah.
Yeah, well, send me the picture, and then we'll know for sure what they are.
Okie dokie. Well, they're a mystery to me. Okay, thank you very
right
much.
on. You take care. Okay,
Yeah.
bye-bye now.
Okay,
Thanks for
bye.
calling. Yeah, bye-bye.
Because in the Acer rubrum, there's a columnar one that might be shooting up. The Acer rubrum, the autumn spire.
Yeah, but what happens with Acer or the Acer genellas, the Amur maples, is that maintenance companies tend to treat them like a shrub, and they hedge trim them, and they keep cutting them, and then of course these new shoots shoot up, and they grow to be these really odd looking things. Yeah. So at some point, like I say, you either just stop it altogether and just stop the pruning and let them just grow. But often the shape has been distorted enough that you really have to go in and remove those. If they're a result of pruning, well, then you have to keep pruning basically forever. So,
Ken, I had a book, and I have lots of old books, and I can't find this one. It was a government issue book from the federal government back in 1922, I think it was. And it was experimenting in one of the federal nurseries, the government nurseries, experimental nurseries. Mm-hmm. And they were experimenting with hedging, and they were making hedges out of everything, like
everything you could
birches
imagine.
and spruce, blue spruce, and
beech trees.
They just see which ones responded well and became a good hedge. What would normally be like a tree like the Acer genella, they just pruned the heck out of it until it became a hedge. And I think Acer genella, I've seen them pruned as a hedge, as a shrub. From when they're very young, just keep pruning them.
They're so vigorous. That's the issue is that, how much work do you want to do? You want to pick something that's not so fast growing, I feel anyway. Yep. It's some of that particular one, Amur maple, they can shoot 6 feet easy in a season.
There's some nice Amur maples. I use them as an example of what an Amur maple can do when it's kept in a spot where it can just be let do its own thing, and that's at Parkinson Rec Center. There's quite a few of them there, and they planted them 40 years ago.
Yeah, and you see the way they keep their seeds.
Yeah, and they don't prune them. They're just nice mushroom-shaped trees. And
those trees are stable and strong and long. If you don't mess with the tree's shape or habit, it's fine on its own. You just it grows and supports itself. But as soon as you start hacking away at it, trying to alter its shape or trying to make it into this perfect tree, then often what we end up doing is making them more dangerous over time. Really,
you bet, exactly that, Ken. You can create those poor branch attachments. And if those poor branch attachments are let go and unwittingly just let grow into so they've got some weight, they're poorly attached, and that's where you're going to have your breaks. Quite often it's included.
And particularly with bigger, older trees, But what happens, I think, is that when somebody does, that's what they say, stop topping trees, is because when you top a tree, at that moment you top a tree, you've got to go back either every year or every second year and keep topping it forever.
Yeah, you've opened the can of worms.
Yeah, but if you forget, or say the property changes hands and somebody doesn't do it anymore, and the one year the shoots grow 10 feet, the next year they're up to 15 or 20 feet, and they just keep going like that.
That weight.
They become this really super dangerous situation. And that's why arborists don't like to top trees, because it just makes them more dangerous.
Right. And that is, again, the reason why when people say, can I prune my, I just had a call the other day, can I prune my large cherry tree back? Mm-hmm. Well, if you've got a big old cherry tree, you can prune it back. You can prune it back, but you're going to create big decay cavities. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a short break, but it's very, very important that you remember to put the right tree in the right place and start pruning from when that tree is young, so that all those preparation branch prunings that you do are small cuts, because they will occlude and heal over nicely. Whereas a big cut, if you make a big cut later on, you've just wounded that tree terribly. So, 250-862-2525 to get through to us today on The Garden Show. It's Ken Selvey and Don Burnett. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Yeah, We're back with you, and the sun is shining, and again, what a beautiful fall we're having, Ken. How long is this going to last? I mean, I don't know what the forecast is, but for the next few days, it's still sunny.
Yeah, I think saying Wednesday-ish, it's going to start to change.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the way it goes. You know, the seasons must change. But, wow, has it ever been spectacular. This week, well, yesterday, I'm sure it was 17 degrees out there. It must have been. You know, we're working outside, and it was just glorious. It was absolutely amazing. It's just beautiful. I love the fall, but there's just nothing like a nice sunny fall. And because this is the way it's progressing, we're seeing the fall colors coming on really nicely. Like they're just gradually coming on. You know, sometimes we get a real hard frost all of a sudden, and it stops all the fall colors in their tracks and sort of freezes the leaves onto the trees. You know. Mm-hmm. And so this year, not so much. It's been very gradual, very gentle, and that's where you get your best fall colors.
Things are just going dormant gradually. What was Elaine Cameron doing back in 1950, in October 1950? She was out planting snowdrops.
Snowdrops.
Galanthus.
Yeah.
She was out there planting snowdrops in her pool rockery. The pool rockery is, well, you can still see the indentation of the pool. Mm-hmm. At the Gushigan Gardens, at the Elaine Cameron Gardens. That pool, I've got pictures of Elaine dipping her hands in there, obviously getting a water lily or something for one of her friends. And when I give that Gushigan tour every year around the gardens, one of the things I point out to is that indentation in the lawn, the sunken area where the pool used to be. Mm-hmm. Just exactly the shape, that kidney shape of her pool. Of her lily pond, it was. So she planted the snowdrops there, and it just says, lovely day. So there we are, October 20th, lovely day. And on the 21st, she raked some leaves and put some grass to cover. Cut some grass to cover. She covered her bulb bed with some grass. Mm-hmm. Now that does a couple of things. It protects them a little bit from frost, but it also adds nitrogen.
Oh, yeah. Mm. Yeah, lawn clippings are great for mulching. They don't last very long, but they definitely feed. There's a lot of food in there.
October 22nd, 1950, Elaine Cameron was out digging carrots. She dug some carrots. She tidied the rockery, cut off some perennial tops on the border. And I've been doing that slowly, too. You know, the hostas are just turning a brilliant, you talk about fall color. Those hostas, then they turn that yellow.
Yeah,
something else.
Very, very beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, they don't last long because a good frost puts them right on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They get nailed. But
again, that's the beauty of this fall is it's gentle.
Yeah. I've got a nice picture of my hostas. October 23rd, 1950, she tidied up some branches from the lime tree. The lime tree, which is still there, the linden tree on the corner of the Gushigan restaurant. Big now. You can't get your arms around it. It's about 3 feet in diameter, the trunk. But they call it a lime tree. And they call in England they call the mountain ash, they call it the rowan tree. Rowan, rowan. Different terminology, but those are all common names. Proper name, of course, is Sorbus aucuparia, and anybody, whether you're in Japan, China, Vietnam, Australia, England, Scotland, anywhere, Quebec, even everywhere. The Latin name is the proper name for the plant, and horticulturists can speak back and forth in that language. Mm. Doesn't matter what language you speak.
Doesn't matter where you go.
Russian, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's always
that's why they use Latin as their base. Yeah.
They do that with medicine too, don't they? In medicine and physiology and
entomology as well.
Entomology and
animology,
ornithology, all the ethologies.
All the ethologies.
Yeah, you bet. We went off on a little little trail there for a minute, but we're back to Elaine Cameron, October 26th in 1950. Shower on October 25th. She had a shower.
Wow.
And barberry on Abretia on the rockery. whatever that was all about. Barberry and Obretia, two totally different plants. I don't know what she was doing there, cleaning them up, I guess. Barberry and Obretia on the rockery. Moved chrysanths to the greenhouse from the driveway. Leaves and lawn clippings to tulips by the lime tree. And reset good heuchera at the base of the steps west and the odd weed and saponaria out. Saponaria, is that, what's that?
Soapwort.
Soapwort, yeah. And it can get a little bit spready, so she's dug that out. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep your plants in check. Part of gardening is not letting everybody take over the other plant space, right? So you're always keeping them in their own areas.
Smarten up.
Yep. Don't let them fight.
Yep.
Don't let them struggle. Just keep them in their own spaces.
Well, it's quite interesting to read this every once in a while, to read her diaries. Not long and lengthy, but she does tell us what she's doing in those years. And this, we're talking 1950, the year I was born. Got about a minute left on this portion of the show. Get your questions and queries ready for the next part, because we've got a full hour ahead of us to talk gardening and fall gardening. It's just a beautiful time of year. I keep saying that, but I'm not going to stop saying that until it becomes not beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful now, and I'm going to keep saying that.
Till the snow's on the ground.
And then it's kind of beautiful, too. The first snowfall is kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah, everything goes quiet.
I lose interest after a while, though. I'd rather it not be there, but that first snowfall is so nice.
It looks great out the window.
It looks good out the window, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we are getting down to, how many minutes left have we got? I don't know, but we've got 1 minute left. 1 minute left of super hot garden show. I was in the greenhouse last night, Ken, when I came home just to check things out. The heater has started to fire up, keeping it a minimum of 15 degrees in there right now. So there we go. And we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. We're going to go to the phone lines and welcome Hugh to the show. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I have an amaryllis problem. I planted the amaryllis outdoors in the spring, and it was a 4-year-old one.
Yep.
And last year it didn't flower. It produced another plant along the side, another bulb along the side.
Right.
And it didn't flower last year. And I planted it in the garden.
Yep.
And when I dug it a couple of weeks ago, there are now 4 little bulbs. There's the original one that I was on there when it went out in the garden. It's about egg size, and the other 3 are about quail egg size.
Well, it's had pups.
Yes,
and
it did. But what my question is, they're on there fairly firm. Do I pull them off before I replant the bulb this year?
It's up to you. It wouldn't hurt either way. However, the same thing happened to mine. Mine had 2 little extra bulblets alongside, and I've planted those in separate small pots. Yeah. I just treat them like a house plant. They're not; those small ones aren't going to bloom. But in order to get your the main bulb to bloom, and it worries me, not just worry me, but it concerns me a bit, the fact that you're saying it's only the size of an egg.
No, not the old one, but the one that was the extra one that was on there in the spring when I planted it out.
Oh, okay. So
the big one the original one is about 3.5 inches in diameter.
Good. Oh, good. Yeah, because mine's kind of shrunk. That's why I wondered if, and I think mine has shrunk over the years because I haven't been feeding it. However, it does bloom regularly for me when I give it the treatment. And the treatment, of course, is to dig it out of the ground, take all the soil off the roots, cut it right back to the bulb, maybe an inch above the bulb, and let it sit cool for a while. Like in a crisper in a paper bag, and the crisper in the fridge is ideal. And then after 2-3 weeks of that, put it out into a pot again and into a nice bright spot, and it should bloom. And the bloom comes before the foliage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and the little bulblet ones, just treat them like house plants and let the foliage bring in the sunshine and build up.
If you keep them going long enough, you never know, they might bloom.
Oh,
But once they form a good-sized bulb, you can start the same treatment for them.
Mm-hmm.
So the original one isn't spent and finished now. It could come back.
They'll go for years.
Okay.
Yeah, right, Hugh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugh. Thanks for the
luck.
call. Yep, you betcha. And we have Pat on the line. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. Good morning. I have 2 pots of succulent perennials that are just really thrived last year. What's my best chance for getting them through the winter? And one is a very deep pot, like it's about 15 inches wide and about probably 15 inches high.
These are perennial, you say, or are they?
They say they're perennials. There's I've got the pots here. They say, sorry, that sedum says it's annual. I thought I saw here's a perennial lime zinger. It's called sedum orpin.
Yep.
And an old man bones, a stone crop.
Mm-hmm.
And black-leaved clover, and Veronica, Whitley Speedwell. Nice. Speedwell, and yellow ice plant.
Right. So some of these are going to survive, and some of them are not going to survive.
Yeah.
And it's just it really has to do with how cold it's going to get around that pot. So if you could manage the coldness by maybe moving it into a protected area, like if you had a window in your garage or something, it can still get quite cold, but it just needs to be buffered from the extreme heat or extreme cold, I mean. And so these plants, they need to be a little bit on the dry side through the winter. They do need the occasional watering. But most of the ones that are actually hardy outdoor perennials, they will survive and come through with no problem at all. And the ones that are what we would classify as a tender perennial, and that means if they can still come through the winter as long as it doesn't get too cold. Okay. These guys should be able to survive even down to -5 without too much problem. Mm-hmm. But if there's any of the real tender subtropical or tropical sedums in there or succulents, they would just turn to mush. But, if you just treat them all the same and just get them into some place, a little bit of protection, a little bit of light, a little bit of coolness, get them through the winter, and then next year, around the end of May, you should be able to set them back outside and let them go again.
Okay. Now, the one is a little fairy garden that was made for me, and
nice.
And it's in a bird bath, so that's very shallow.
Yeah.
I wondered if I'd be better off to take the top off that bird bath and set it right in the ground. Would that be of any help? It's a pottery type.
Yeah, Ken and I are nodding back and forth. Yes, that would be a good plan. Just dig a little dish out into your garden and just let that bird bath sit down in it. And
the only thing is it's going to potentially fill up with water.
That's
you're
true,
right.
too.
That might be an issue.
That's true. There's no drainage in that.
No, there isn't.
I wish there was a place that was covered that you could do the same.
Yeah.
If there's any place where you have an extended roof,
I do.
Then maybe put it in that location, and then just monitor it. And if it gets too dry, you can just add a little bit of water. Yeah. But they'll probably overwinter better there. And Dawn, would you say it just depends on what those plants are that are in the fairy garden? But they I would say that they live. If a couple of them if a couple don't make it, that's no big deal.
And bringing them in the house wouldn't be the solution.
Well, it can if you've got lots of light. I brought my tender perennial succulents. I've got them in an old bed pan. I planted up a bed pan, one of these old metal bed pans.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and I brought it into the greenhouse for the winter, and it'll go all winter in the greenhouse. But so if you've got a nice well lit area in the house, like a sunroom or something like that, you could bring that bird bath planter in and keep it through the winter.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much for the call. We appreciate it. Okay, bye now. 250-862-2525 to get through to us today on the AM 1150 Garden Show. A lot of things are sold in the spring, Ken, that like that lavender, that French lavender.
Lavender
I brought that.
Stoichies.
Yeah, it's hardy down the coast. My sister has it in Gibson's, and it comes back year after year for her. Just a little too cold here in the Okanagan for that.
Yeah, and I have actually. I've seen some survive in some areas, but not the standard one. There seems to be some hybrids now.
Yeah.
They're hybriding across the stoiches with the intermedia.
Oh, okay.
Just sort of but it's hard to tell what they are. But, it's worth a try. I mean, if you're going to dig them up and throw them into the compost pile, well, you might as well just leave them in the ground over winter. And if they come back next year, then great.
See what happens.
I mean, remember that one lady phoned in, I think it was last year, and her jade plant came through.
I know. I've been speaking with her.
That's just fascinating.
Did your little baby survive? I've got 3 of them now.
No.
The little baby
no.
him. So, and Pat, also with the planter, these planters that you're wondering what's hardy and what's not hardy, the ones that she leaves outside, she'll know what's hardy and what's not hardy next spring.
Yeah.
Because some of them will be mush, some will be alive, so
exactly.
That'll tell her the tale. I was going to say, too, to Pat before she hung up, just in fairness, the fairies should come inside. Like, you may not bring the whole planter, but bring from the fairy garden.
Make sure the fairies
get into the house because they don't like, they're like leprechauns. They don't like the cold.
No.
They'd
rather be in a nice, close to the fireplace.
A little fairy room, like an elf on the shelf kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, getting too close to Christmas, isn't it? Yeah, that was talking Christmas. We got Halloween coming up. We've got all sorts of neat things, and we've got the election today. And I want to encourage everybody, please go out and vote. I want to see that 30-35% up into at least into the 40s. Let's get 40-45% people out.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. Okay, 250-862-2525 to get through to us today, and we'll take a short break now, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. We are back with you on the AM 1150 Garden Show, and I would just want to remind folks that every year, coming up in February, Ken Salville and Don Burnett take a busload of people down to Seattle to the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, and it is a heck of a show.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about it quite a bit as over the years, but I never tire of it, Ken. I just never tire of it. You think, oh, man, how many more of these are going to do? Well, I just keep doing because the show changes every year. Mm-hmm. This year, the theme is Gardens of the World. So I'm just going to assume that they're going to have representation from Kew Gardens and the various botanical gardens from all over the world.
From
and they're
Holland.
Yep.
Different countries, yeah. It's great. I think it's going to be fabulous.
This is the 31st annual Northwest Flower and Garden Show, and it is probably the 15th that we've been on, I believe. Let me just see here. How many have we been on? Let me just see. Hey, we are. Let's see. 2005 was the first one, and now it's 2019. So this will be the 14th time we've done this. 14 trips to Seattle, and a couple of years ago, Donna and I decided to do a couple of some other things other than just the show. We've been to the show so often that there are some parts of the show that are the same every year. Most of the parts differ; they change, but there are some that are the same every year. So we sort of backed off a little bit and did a bit of sightseeing in Seattle. And one of the things we did was we went into the old town of Seattle. We took the subway down to the old part of Seattle, and in that part of Seattle, you can do the underground trip, where Seattle, the parts of Seattle were buried, and yet the storefronts and everything are still there. And you go down, it's really quite fascinating. And we also went to the Chihuly Glass Museum, and that was just incredible.
Yeah, any Chihuly, if you ever get a chance to go, you just go. It's an amazing thing. I've seen it down in Florida, and one of his installations there. It was breathtaking.
Yeah, and it's only within short walk from the hotel that we stay at now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Just a quick 5-minute walk from the hotel. No, if you want to get on the bus, if you want to be with Ken and I,
that's February 21st.
February
year, right?
21st, and I'm just going to bring it up here. February 21st. 4 days we're away. We leave on the 21st, travel that day, get there that evening, and then 2 days at the show, 2 full days at the show, and the show it opens at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it closes at 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
So you have the option to get picked up at the show at 5 o'clock or 5:30 or whatever that we arrange, and the bus will come and pick you up and take you back to the place, or not. You can just say, well, no, I'm fine. We want to stay at the show and listen to some more,
the seminars.
Seminars.
Yeah,
the seminars are fabulous.
Hundreds of seminars.
Yeah. And they're all free. They all included in the cost of the trip. And so we get 3. The tour includes 3 nights accommodation at the Best Western Executive Inn, and the beautiful motor coach that takes us down there. The drivers are always great. We really enjoy getting to know the drivers. They're wonderful, and 2-day passes to the show itself. 4 meals and 3 breakfasts and 1 lunch. It means 3 breakfasts every morning. You have a breakfast at the hotel, and we have a lunch on the way back at Brian Minter's Country Gardens. So we get to stop in there. So the trip's not over. When you start heading back, we get across the border, and now we go to see Brian, and so it's going to be good.
Yeah, it is. It always is a fun trip, that's for sure. Yeah, lots of learning and lots of seeing. Oh, man, those bulbs, the oceans of bulbs that they have at the show, it's just fabulous. Amazing, and all the different plants and trees and everything in bloom, and and the weather there, they're obviously quite a bit ahead of us, so it's pretty cool.
Especially this year, Ken, because we're later in the month this year.
Yeah,
and also the huge floral arrangements. They're different every year, but they're big floral arrangements, like 4 and 5 feet tall. Some of these floral arrangements, and the landscape displays are incredible. They move rocks the size of cars into that building, and
build waterfalls. They actually build the facades like houses.
Yep, they go
it
all
look
out.
like a house.
They go all out.
Or some of those beautiful pergolas that they build, and water features with rivers running through them, and just unbelievable.
If you want to get aboard, you want to give the Sun Fun Tours people a call. That's Sun Fun Tours. And the Kelowna number to get through to them it's quite simple. The Kelowna number is 250-763-6133. And or you can go to sunfuntours.ca on the internet and get in that way. They have lots of different tours too. Sun Fun Tours do several tours, lots of casino tours, some long distance tours down to Florida and whatnot.
I think they even have one that goes to Haida,
yes,
which is fascinating.
Oh, tell you, very, very, very cool. And we're planning, possibly for next year, not this coming spring, but 2020. We're thinking we might do a trip to San Francisco.
Yeah, I'd be all in for that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And it would be more like a 10-day excursion. And get down, because that's the largest flower and garden show in North America,
right.
San Francisco show.
Yeah, Seattle's number 2. But
yep.
It's only enormous.
Yeah. So we're thinking of putting that together. Should be fun. So give them a call, Sun Fun Tours, and join us on the trip down to Seattle.
Get on the bus with us.
You bet. We're maybe going back to see Elaine Cameron just for a few minutes because we didn't quite finish her diary. As it got towards the end of October in 1950, they were still cutting the lawn.
Yeah, that's amazing, cutting that late in the season. But I guess we're in for that again this year.
They had just gone through, in 1950, they had just gone through the coldest winter in history in the Okanagan.
Right.
Recorded history. It was the coldest winter. 4950 was the coldest winter in recorded history. So this 1950 was what she's doing now, the fall of 50. That was after that. So I don't know whether they were expecting another cold one or not, but they didn't get a real snapper that second year. Michaelmas daisies. She cut them and brought them in to enjoy in the house. And more cut flowers. And she stirred the compost up. And she took a barrel load of compost to the auriculas. That's the primula auricula bed. She just loved those auriculas. That's a smooth-leafed primula. And the pool rockery. And then October 31st, lovely day she has here. Violets and weeds from the juniper steppes and perennials from the lilac bed. All lilies cut off in the border and tidied up the candlesticks. What the candlesticks would they be? Would they be red-hot pokers? Or?
Well, it could be just about anything, right? Could even be another type of primula. There's a primula.
That's right,
candlestick. But they would have been finished long before.
Yeah. Anyway, she did that. She replanted some from an old plot, and she planted the seedling barberry on the wall top. That's what she was doing with the barberry, the little seedlings.
Yep.
She's planting them up on the wall top. So that was Elaine Cameron in 1950.
Yeah,
what
which
she did
is
in her garden.
Now known as the Gushigan Gardens.
Gushigan Gardens.
Just off Cameron.
Take time to do that. I mean, they're looking after those gardens so well.
The restaurant is still is
restaurant.
It still going?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I have to get out there for another.
You bet.
Another meal. It was always so fabulous.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back a little ways here, Ken, because I don't get the calls like I was 3 weeks ago or a month ago. But the interior browning of cedars was so prevalent when that change of weather comes at the end of summer, and it's just amazed. Every year I get tons and tons of calls.
Yeah,
why are my cedars turning brown? It's normal. It's a normal thing for cedars to do. First of all, they don't like being in the Okanagan where it's so dry, the dry atmosphere, and that triggers a little bit more so than you would at the coast. But it is a normal thing for evergreens to drop interior foliage.
Yeah, the pines are doing it. I mean, we've got some beautiful weeping white pines, and they've got all the old needles go every year. They're not going to keep the old stuff. No. There's no need for that.
Yeah, and especially the interior stuff that the sun doesn't get to.
Yeah.
Because if the sun's not getting to it, it's no point in having that because it's not producing anything. Mm-hmm. So they say, to heck with you.
And every year they grow. So they grow out another 2-3 inches or 6 inches or whatever, depending on the plant. Yeah. So then they're burying their own foliage. So every year they're going to just shed that stuff.
The problem can become a little more severe if the cedars have been really let go and dry through the summer. That problem can be a little more severe.
Well, if the leaves are damaged, right? It's like with spider mites. If you get a bad spider mite infestation, they'll often shed the leaves that are no longer of use. They're just damaged beyond repair, right?
Yeah, spider mite will definitely cause problems with the cedars. And, the cedars just kind of look a little dirty,
dusty.
Yeah,
exactly. We saw a few junipers that were infested with scale insect, and that they looked rough. They just they take a beating from scale.
The brown scale.
Yeah, just certain types. It seems like the scopularum varieties are the worst. It seems like for the scale, but anyway, that's the way it goes. Yep. Sometimes you have good luck, and sometimes you don't.
We're going to go back to the phone lines, and we'd like to say hello to Yvonne. Good morning, Yvonne.
Hello, guys. How are you today?
We're well.
Good, thanks.
Nice. Good, thanks. Hey, thanks. I've got a question about my buddleia. Am I too late to trim the long branches down a bit so the snow doesn't create some problems for them?
No. We that's what as maintenance people, what we normally do is we'll cut them back by generally about 25% is what we like to do. So you can always remove the occasional bottom branch that's shooting out to the sides if you need to. Keep the plant sort of a little more sort of light bulb shape in a way, and just trimming off the outer parts because the tips, the skinny little branches on the tips usually die over winter anyway. But if you can keep the main framework, then it doesn't really grow back as aggressively, and it's more manageable. If you get a severe winter, all the wood will die, and then it shoots from the base again. Mm-hmm. And then you just cut the thing off, and it grows back, and then you try to get it back to being this framework that's sort of upright.
Okay.
And so then that way it kind of holds itself each year.
Okay, last year, I guess in the spring, I I think I cut it down too soon.
Or too
And
hard.
so it didn't really come back that great. I lost one, but I have 3 other ones, so they're slowly coming back, but they look really spindly. One of them looks really spindly. Do you think I should just keep trying to get at it? Will it still recover? Or?
Well, as long as they're growing now, they should be fine. What happens a lot of times is that, like if you had 5 different buddleias growing, butterfly bushes, well, one of them might die, freeze out, and die. They're kind of a fragile plant in this environment. It's just a little too cold for them in a way here, but they thrive. They seem to be okay. But what happens is the tops die back, and then just a little piece of the root still alive, and that little piece starts to shoot, and then it starts coming back, and over time it grows right back to being a full-size plant. It just takes a season or two. But what I do is I let the plant go in the spring, and I let it push out a little bit, and I look for the new leaves to come. And when I see those new leaves, then I know I can go in and find the wood that's dead and the wood that's alive. So you kind of can see some of the leaves are alive and some kind of shrivel up. So you can scratch it with your pruners a bit too to see if the wood is dead or alive under the bark. And you just cut out and remove the dead wood. But again, we try to keep the framework upright up to as high as about 4 or 5 feet high each year if we can. And that framework just holds the whole thing up, and it keeps it much more manageable. If we have to cut it to the ground, we can cut it to the ground. It will come back and it'll shoot up. But if it's a vigorous plant, if you have a really healthy plant, you cut it right to the ground, wow, they just explode and they shoot up in all different directions, and they get to be a massive thing, sometimes up to 10 feet high quite easily, and they can be just a little bit too much to handle in some cases. So I like to keep the old framework and try to keep that alive year after year if you can. So there you go. That's the full package.
You got the full meal deal there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Yvonne. Thanks for calling.
Okay, enjoy your day.
You betcha.
And I'm going out to vote.
Good
All
for
right.
you, girl. Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
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 Well, that's very, very important. We're going to take a short break here and invite your calls, 250-862-2525. We're easy to talk to, Ken. We are easy to talk to, because that's what's just like I've often said, the garden show is just like chatting over the back fence, to your neighbor about gardening. And that's what we're doing. So if you want to give us a call and chat over the back fence, we're here to help. 250-862-2525. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Don Burnett, Ken Salville here, and we are inviting Adam to join us on the show. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Excellent.
Good, thanks.
Excellent. Got a question for you guys. Got a privacy hedge that we're trying to build in the back. We bought some mature boxwoods last year, probably. I don't know, the stalks probably an inch and a half thick. Came in 3 gallons.
Boxwood, yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty mature. Anyways, they're a little sparse in terms of width, and I'm wondering what I can do to encourage them to kind of fill out. Is there something I should be doing here in the fall?
Well, there is a technique that stimulates growth in plants, whether evergreens or not, but it's a technique that's used in nursery growing to get maximized growth out of your plants in the spring, and that is to apply nitrogen fertilizer to your plants late in the season. So it's usually right around the end of October. You can apply a nitrogen-type fertilizer to the base of the plants, around underneath them, and allow them to absorb that. And in the springtime, what happens is plants are really short on nitrogen, so they don't do much. They kind of have this really long, slow start. But to get them kicked up really early, what you do is you put that fertilizer in the fall, and the plants will absorb it and hold it in their roots through the wintertime. And then when they're ready to go in the spring, they've got this stored energy or stored nitrogen, basically, ready to go for first thing in the spring. And they can, you get to, I'm sure it's at least 25% more growth immediately. Like, it's amazing how fast and how well plants do. And plants that are evergreens, like boxwood would be an evergreen, it would be something that they would really appreciate.
Great. So just some nitrogen kind of pellets and then water it in and
Well,
make it for the fall.
A good lawn fertilizer, you can use that.
Yeah.
Something high in nitrogen. The first number is nitrogen, Adam. And you think a slow release would be okay? Or?
I think that you could do either or. I think you could even do like they have the water soluble high nitrogen products that are available. Some are like a 30-10-10 is something that's available as a powder, and you mix it with water and you just water it in. Yeah. So that could be done as well. Ideally, it's before the ground freezes, right? So it's going to be freezing at night, so you'd apply it about mid-afternoon once the ground is a little bit soft.
And also, in the pruning, that's going to Adam, that's going to help you the boxwood fill in and branch out. How close together do you have them planted?
They're about anywhere between 2 and 3 feet.
Okay, well, they will eventually fill in, and that's what the idea is as a hedge. And
variety might be a factor too, right?
Yeah. What you don't know the variety of boxwood, eh?
I don't. It didn't have the nice write up on it. It was just something that we got from Naps at the end of the season last year.
Oh, okay. I wonder if it's that columnar one that you have.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so. Do they look columnar, like they're tall and skinny, or are they just sort of rounded and?
Yeah, they're not rounded. I wouldn't necessarily call them tall and skinny. It's just they're not like a full tight boxwood like you see those little ones that are maybe 6 inches tall and 6 inches wide.
And they probably have gone for a while without being pruned. Maybe but I would say if we're envisioning something in our head here, and it may be wrong. So maybe in this situation, it might be wise to send Ken or I or both of us a picture of your boxwood, and we can maybe get a little more precise on our advice.
Yeah, so when people buy boxwood hedges, the question that we ask is, how tall would you like to maintain it? And so if somebody says, well, I only want it to be 12 inches high, some people say I want it to be 3 feet high. Some people say I want a 6-foot hedge. Well, you have to buy the right type, the right variety that will get up to that height. Because they're fairly slow growing to begin with, they average anywhere from, like that little short one I mentioned, it only gets about 12 inches high. It only grows a half an inch a year. But the medium-sized ones, they grow about 2 to 3 inches a year. The little bit taller ones grow about 6 to 8 inches a year. And the biggest varieties would be sort of in that. They might achieve 10 inches of growth a year, sort of thing. They're not a fast-growing hedge, but they sure are a beautiful hedge. And the deer certainly don't.
That's the nice thing about it, isn't it?
Yeah, the deer won't eat them for sure.
Were you trying to achieve a fairly tall hedge there, Adam, or just a 2 3
No,
footer?
maybe 3 feet, and right now it's just the width because it's a privacy thing looking down a slope.
The more you prune, when spring comes with a hedge trimmer, they will thicken out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just take the tops off, but feed. That's the way.
Nitrogen, that's coupled with the nitrogen.
Nitrogen is the answer, and putting that on late in the season is what the professionals do. Like the professional growers, I know at Byland's nurseries, they're probably the best grower in the world. I would say. Sounds like it. They won the award, but they know what they're doing, and that's what they would do. Is they apply the nitrogen late in the season on their crops, and they get a really nice boost in the spring, first thing.
Great, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Right. Thanks for the call, Adam.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Bye-bye now. 250-862-2525. We may break just a tad early here because if you want to give us a call, pick up the phone, give us a call now because we've only got 15 minutes left on the show. And if we take a break now, then we can go right through to the end without any problems, and we'll be delighted to do that. So give us a call, 250-862-2525, and we will be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Okay, we're back. We've got some callers. You did what I told you to do and call in, and that's good on you. But we've got a short period of time before the end of the show, so we're going to go to Roy. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We're well, thanks.
Good.
I have what you might consider to be a rather silly question, but I inherited those Sweet 100 tomato plants?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're familiar with them?
Oh, yeah. Yep, Sweet 100s. Yep.
I got
Cherry
this thing
tomato.
kind of late in its life, and I said, well, I'll see if I can make it grow. It had been put in a pot. So I put it into my garden, and it's now covered with flowers. But it's going to be too late, I think, for it to go anywhere. And I wondered if I just cut the thing off and left the root in the ground if it would grow
for next year?
in the spring?
No. It would freeze. They are not hardy at all. They don't take any frost. They're a tropical,
don't do that.
They're a tropical plant. Yeah.
Okay.
You could, Roy, put it in a pot, dig it out, put it in a pot, and keep it as a house plant through the winter, and then replant it in the spring. I did that with peppers. I've done that with peppers, and you could.
Peppers works really good.
Yeah.
Tomatoes are.
You could if you can keep it alive in time, but it's not really worth it, Roy. I think that'd be a lot.
It's really not worth all the trouble.
But it's a feel-good thing.
It's a feel-good thing to do it, but also, you know what you do with tomatoes, bring them in the house? Whitefly. You start bringing in greenhouse whitefly into the house, and once you've got greenhouse whitefly in the house, it's hard to get rid of. So I would suggest you let sleeping dogs lie. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Roy.
That's good to know.
You betcha.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
And Diana, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Oh, perfect. I have a question about yams. I've been growing yams for a few years. Absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I found is I found that they don't keep well. So what I've been doing, when I pull them out, we just eat them right away. And I'm just wondering if there's something that I'm doing or not doing to them that would allow them to preserve them a little bit longer. They're not like store yams where you can keep them in your fridge for a month or whatever.
Yeah, I know. Well, these are sweet potatoes, the ipomea. The yam is something different. If you Google yam and sweet potato, they are two different things. Quite often people will call sweet potatoes yams, but they aren't really. So, but I'm just setting the record straight there. No, they don't keep. The ones you grow in the garden here don't keep. And what we do with ours is if we have lots of them, which some years we do, we cook them and freeze them.
Yeah, that's what I do
we
too.
cook them and then put them in freezer bags. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought there might be some little trick. Okay, thank you.
Diana. No, that's what you got to do. Thanks.
Yeah,
right.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
And we have Pam on the line. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. I have a question about a couple of herbs that I have currently very happy in my garden, but I don't think they're going to be happy for long as it gets cold. And I'm wondering if I can overwinter rosemary and thyme in the house.
Well, the thyme will be fine outside.
Oh, it will.
Because
okay.
It survives like crazy. Depending, if you just have the Thymus vulgaris, which is a common thyme, and that one's fine. The rosemary is you can try to bring it in. Usually, I think Don mentioned this as a tip a long time ago, is bringing some of these tropical or subtropical plants into the house when the temperatures outside are similar to what it is inside. And that's the one thing I found about rosemary was that if we brought it in quite early, like back in probably around the 20th of September, 25th of September, we could bring that into the house at that time and then allow it to dry out between each watering so that it wouldn't be too soggy wet. And in the brightest, sunniest window you had a pretty good chance of it surviving. Sometimes just leaving them out over winter, we've had them survive here. If we get a mild winter, they come through. But it's just, that's what I would say for now, is that if you do bring it in now, they might not be able to withstand that change going from, warm days, cold nights, and then all of a sudden just come in and it's, 68 degrees around the clock.
Since I've tossed it to the elements so far, maybe I'll take a chance and see if it still is around in the spring.
Yeah, you might be able to maybe protect it. Don, do you have any inputs on protecting rosemary?
It's in a pot, Pam. These are.
It's in one of my raised galvanized steel bins.
Okay. Well, maybe you can put a little protection over top of that. Mm-hmm. Either some plastic and then maybe a quilt or something on top of that, or some insulated batting. And if it's insulated batting or anything that is going to soak up water, you might want to put plastic on top of that just to keep it dry.
Right. How about if I trimmed it down, like harvested all the edible stuff off of it, and then how about if I put a pot over top of it?
That would be helpful. Absolutely.
And then maybe insulate the pot as the weather shifts down.
Yeah, the only thing, because it is an evergreen, there's a little bit of something going on there in the wintertime. And the fresh air movement around the plant is a factor, too. But I'd say give it a try and see what happens. If they come through, then you can let us know how you did it. So
experiment with a few different kinds of coats.
You bet.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Pam.
Thanks, Pam. Take care.
I do that with my banana. I put a pot over top and then some mulch over top of that.
And they definitely
And June is on the line. Good morning, June.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Excellent, thanks.
Good, thanks.
I have a hospice that I just love. I've got actually 3. 2 of them are not doing very good, but the one that I planted this year, I put into a ceramic pot, and it grew and it's growing beautiful. It's leafed out. Can I leave it in that pot, or do I have to move it?
They're pretty hardy. Yeah, I have some that I leave in pots over winter.
Okay.
And they're in fairly big pots, they're about 16 inches across by about maybe 14 inches tall. So, and these are full of hostas, and I don't do anything with them. Like, honestly, I just leave them right where they sit, and because they're plastic pots, the pots expand and contract with the freezing and thawing, and the hosta comes back every year. The only thing, if you do have these clay pots of any kind, they will burst when they freeze.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. This is a ceramic one. Maybe I'll just put it into plastic.
Yeah, it might be easier. If you want to protect it, you can bury it a little bit in the ground, leave it, and it'll come back in spring.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good luck.
All right, have a good day. Bye-bye now.
You betcha. Bye. Thanks for the call, and that is our last caller of the day. We're going to say goodbye pretty quickly here. And Ken and I always enjoy being here every Saturday morning on the AM 1150 Garden Show. If you want to join us on that trip to Seattle, just make sure you give Sun Fun Tours a call, because it fills up, and we want to make sure you have your chance to get on the bus.
And they want to have their bookings early this year. They want them booked. Is it before December? Or
well, there's definitely a longer period of time that you can get involved or get on the bus on that. But they'd like to see what's going on by December, so we can plan ahead. Plan for the room numbers and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Join us. It's a lot of fun. And we are also just reminding people that next Saturday is the Xeriscape class in Penticton. If you want to join that, then you want to look up Okanagan Xeriscape. Go to their website, and you can just look up Okanagan Xeriscape, Google it, and you'll get their website, and you can contact them and register for that class. And what else we got? Nothing too much more.
We got a 1,000th garden show coming up.
That's in December, 1,000.
December 1st, I believe it is,
That's going to be exciting. We're going to plan something for that one. Also, the Master Gardeners people have a series going on, and we're going to talk more about that. I don't know when the next session is, but these are in a series. They're the science of gardening, that sort of thing,
at the library,
happening at the library, and
yeah.
it's going to be fun. So we're going to get the information on that, and we'll pass that on to you next week. So now we're going to get the tips and the plants of the week.
All righty.
Okay, my tip of the week this week is it's so important that you remove your garden hose from the outdoor self-draining tap before it freezes, because it can be devastating. That's very, very expensive, that problem, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My plant of the week is the saffron crocus, the crocus sativa. It's a crocus that blooms in the fall, and you can harvest the little red threads, and it's called saffron. Very, very expensive to buy. It's probably the most expensive herb in the market, and that is my tips and plants of the week.
All right, finally I get my tip of the week and the plant. My tip of the week is that adding compost and mulch around plants in the fall helps to protect them, protects the crown over winter, prevents them from desiccating and from receiving hard blasts of frost in the middle of winter. So that's always good. And my plant of the week is the beautiful Christmas cactus, because mine is in full bloom right now, and it's spectacular. So it's pretty cool. I'll probably be posting some pictures of it on Instagram and maybe Facebook, as I do every year. It's always fabulous to have the Christmas cactus.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Schlumbergia.
Oh, remember to check KelownaGardens.com.
That's right. And I've got 3 of them in the greenhouse that are just about to burst into bloom. My Shigo quote of the week this week is pretty cool. Did you know, he puts up this, he says, tooth decay is the most common human disease. There you go. Leave you with that. Get out and vote, everybody, and we'll see you next week with more AM 1150 Garden Show.